Today I want to talk to you about a couple of attachments that have been around for, I don't know, 60, 80 years without a lot of change. But what I'm going to show you is a bit of a twist on these attachments that are going to make it easier for those of you in the suburbs or with small amounts of storage. You know, a lot of us have limited storage space. There's just not enough room to house and store attachments. This particular landscape rake and this rear blade that we're going to show you will probably still fit. Let's take a look. I'll start off by showing you the twist, the change in the design, or what I might consider an improvement, at least for the suburban lifestyle limited storage space. This is typical 3-point hitch, quick hitch. This is the Heavy Hitch weight bracket. The blade is using a 2-inch receiver to connect to the Heavy Hitch. So the rear blade only has this 2-inch solid piece of steel. It doesn't contain its own 3-point hitch attachment. It just connects right in here. I don't have a pin in right now because I'm just showing it to you, and I'm going to take it out in just a minute. But a pin goes through here and holds it on. This blade has all the features of any other simple rear blade. You can angle it either direction that you want. You can turn it all the way around backwards or forwards, just like that. One interesting feature of this blade is that it's fully compatible with the 54-inch front blade that Deere sells, and therefore Artillian and HeavyHitch.com offer different cutting edges. This one's got the steel cutting edge standard, but you can get the rubber cutting edge from Artillian or the UHMW or UMWH, I never can get that, from HeavyHitch.com, and it will fit because the whole pattern, everything about this cutting edge is the same. This landscape rake is, you might say, a new partner in crime for the rear blade. It's mounted the same way. Well, it'd be a lot easier if I took this pin out. And it's got the angle here. Now, yes, we're missing some tines here. I left those off because I want to show you about the installation a little bit later. But this angles uses the very same piece of 2-inch solid steel as the blade. And I've got it connected to the front of my loader with the 2-inch receiver that comes in the Artillian fork frame. But again, you can put this in the Heavy Hitch. That's where it's really designed to be used, is in the Heavy Hitch receiver. I saved this one section because I had some difficulty figuring out how to best install these pieces. It was kind of an, you know, what order do I tackle the problem? Do I have it upside down? Do I have it right side up? How do I go about this? So I'm going to show you the technique that works for me, and that way if you order yours and you have some difficulty installing, you can check this out. The approach that I've learned works best for me, assuming you put the tine in right side up, is to do each end. Each one of these pieces of rippled steel holds 6, I believe, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tines, and I have found it's best to do each end and don't put them very tight, just barely get the nut on. Using that approach, I can insert the middle ones like so, and this is a trivial job. I should have had the camera on when I tried to do the very first one over there. It would have been a blooper roll for sure, because I tried to get all 6 of them started kind of at the same time, and just tried several different approaches as I came across with this install. And this approach was so much easier, I decided it was worth the time to demonstrate it to you. Just once you get the ends on, you slide the tines in, one washer on top, one washer on the bottom, and it's really trivial. These tines are made in Italy. I was kind of surprised. That seems like something that would be made in China typically, but they say made in Italy right on them. So that was kind of positive to me. I mean, after we met a lot of Italian people this summer, really was pretty impressed with what we saw in Italy. People were very warm to us personally, and they were warm to Americans in general, and we just really enjoyed what we saw in Italy. I just try to make sure the tines are relatively straight. That's really all there is to the installation. One more comment I might make is that this kingpin or large bolt is really the most difficult part, or at least was for me to install. You need 2 1.5 wrenches, or in my case I used a 3/4 inch drive socket with an 1.5 inch socket on one side. It's a lock nut, so it takes a little bit of effort there to get these tightened down. They provide 3 washers, and you need all 3. One on the top side I put, and the other 2 I put on the bottom side. I thought about putting one in the middle, but I decided I didn't want to have that much give in there. So instead I put a little bit of a grease in there before I put them together to allow it to swing easier. Now, just like the blade, you can rotate this in, I don't know, 3 different positions in each direction, maybe more than that, right? And then you'd have to take this out, but you could turn it around so that you're pushing the other direction. Here's the magic of these attachments. I've got both of them stacked right here. I put the blade right in the middle of the landscape rake, and look at this tiny amount of space. I suspect if we stood them just right, we could get even less space. You know, you could make it more vertical, more horizontal, but even now we're 24 inches in width here and 14 inches high. That space would work, and then 54 inches long is all it's going to take for the blade. When I was in my previous house, this would have been exactly what I needed, because I just didn't have any storage space. I'd much rather keep items inside, and I'm sure you would too. They're just going to last a lot longer. You're going to avoid rust. You're going to avoid sun damage. It's just much better. We all know it's better to keep attachments inside. This should make that possible. Now, these are a little bit smaller than some of the blades or landscape rakes that you see on the market. They're going to be perfect for a subcompact tractor. As long as you're in the BX, the CS 2520 for Coyote, or the GC series for Massey Ferguson, of course the John Deere 1 series, these are about perfect. Okay, they're going to be the right size. You're going to be able to handle them. These are the right attachments for that machine, but you get any bigger and they're really probably not the right attachment. You need to go with a just a more heavy duty type landscape rake or rear blade or box blade or whatever. Not only can you store these attachments in a small space, they cost less than their full 3-point hitch counterparts. You can kind of imagine what's going on here. This one just has this 2-inch piece of steel. Every other rear blade is going to have, in front of this, is going to have a full 3-point hitch attachment. Well, we use the Heavy Hitch for that. So even when combined with the cost of the Heavy Hitch bracket itself, these attachments are going to be cheaper, especially if you buy both of them, right? You're going to get a landscape rake and a blade, and you only need one Heavy Hitch to pull this off. Another advantage is when you're using the blade, you can put some weights on your Heavy Hitch, right? So it's hard to get down pressure on these blades. A lot of times they're just not heavy enough to do the job that you want done. With this thing, you can put weights right on the Heavy Hitch bracket. That's what it's made for, and get you a little bit of downforce. We've shown this rear blade on our channel several times. We've shown it in the snow. It's very effective working on snow. We've also shown it grading some rock in our driveway. I believe that was when we were getting ready for the Shelter Logic shelter that we used it for that. The blade's been out then for, I believe, a year, maybe a little bit more. The landscape rake is new. I don't know the pricing at the time of this airing. I don't know the pricing on the landscape rake, but I believe there's some discussion of making this a bundle where you can get the blade and the landscape rake and maybe even a hitch of your choice all in a bundle, right? Now, I recommend the offset hitch as a minimum. There's several different hitches available. There's a standard duty hitch, which I don't recommend because it doesn't have as much reinforcement around that 2-inch receiver. So it's not good for pulling these attachments. There's a Super Duty hitch which adds that reinforcement. That is your bare minimum. It takes only the 42-pound weights. This is the offset hitch, which is the beginning of my real recommendation. The offset hitch takes 42s or 70-pound weights, and it is the Super Duty connection in there. And then my favorite is the double bracket, where you can put 70-pound weights on the back and then additional 42 pounds on the front. That gives you the most flexibility for the long term. But hopefully we'll have a bundle with the hitch, the blade, and the landscape rake. If you already have certain pieces of that, this is a very cost-effective way to get a landscape rake and a blade. And as I said, low storage requirements. I think that is my favorite aspect of this pretty ingenious design. The folks at Heavy Hitch have been pretty impressive with this design. You can get yours at heavyhitch.com. Use coupon code TTWT for a 5% discount. And I hope you found this helpful. I really want to try to provide some helpful information for you to be able to get attachments that can work in your situation. Not everybody has a huge storage building to put their attachments, and I think this is a compelling solution for you. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time on Tractor Time with Tim. It goes right into the Heavy Hitch 2-inch receiver. What is wrong with you, Cat? He's got to where he meows like that all the time.
All the time. I'll distract him with petting.
I'll start over.
Okay.
You ready? Didn't believe me, did he?